the next thing we're going to talk about is that a lot of veteran quarterbacks are starting out with new teams. Okay, so we've got Kirk Cousins, who's going to Atlanta. We've got Russell Wilson, who's now with Pittsburgh. We've even got Sam Darnold, who's with Minnesota.
Hey, Sam Darnold, man.
You never know. You never know what he can do. Right? I mean, he's got Justin Jefferson as his wide receiver, right?
He does.
And I like Minnesota.
Pretty good guy to have to fight those ghosts.
I like Minnesota's coach. So we'll see. And I'm actually throwing in Aaron Rodgers in here as well. And that's because, granted, it's his second year. It's his second year with the Jets. He played 4 snaps with the Jets last year.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? So I don't think you can count that as a season. I don't even think he completed a pass. I'm actually pretty sure
No, I don't think he did either. I think he would drop back.
Yeah. And
tore his Achilles, and that was it.
Here's what we're doing. We're including Aaron Rodgers in that. And our question is this: which veteran quarterback is best suited to have success on their new team? And I think the default answer is going to be Aaron Rodgers, but I'm very curious on your take on this. I'll give you my take after you kind of explain your take on this. But is it going to be Rodgers? Is it going to be Cousins? Is it Wilson? Sam Darnold? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, there was just announced today. Mike Tomlin announced that Russell Wilson won the QB job over Justin Fields. So I would have said, if it was the opposite, Justin Fields would have won the QB job in Pittsburgh, I would have said he actually had the best chance to have a really good fantasy season. Justin Fields with his legs and, being able to throw the ball and, do all those things that he does. He's pretty dynamic. I would have expected him to have a good fantasy season. But as far as now that it's Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, I don't even expect him to finish the season as QB1, to be honest. Yeah. So not Russell Wilson. So for me, it's between Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers. Like, I do think Aaron Rodgers is going to have the best season out of all of those guys, all the new, faces in different places, or, whatever you want to say it. But, Aaron Rodgers coming off the torn Achilles, he's got Garrett Wilson, he's got Breece Hall, he's got the Jets defense that's going to be good again, with Sauce, and, they're going to be doing their thing. So I think the Jets are going to have a good year, and they're going to be fighting with the Dolphins and Buffalo to win that division. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy. And then, so I'd like to hear your thoughts.
So I'm going to go, I'm the opposite of where you're going.
Yeah.
Only because I happen to root for a team whose quarterback injured his Achilles.
Yeah.
San Marino tore his Achilles. You can ask any Dolphin fan, any Dolphin beat writer you want. When he came back, he wasn't the same quarterback. He not that he played scared. I don't think Dan Marino ever played scared, but it just that urgency, that like preciseness that he had, that like he was just the top of the top pre Achilles injury, and then afterwards you could almost kind of see the doubt in his playing. Not to say that like he wasn't good. He was always a great quarterback, and obviously in Dolphins lore, the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the same. And so for me, I have a really hard time wrapping my head around the idea that Aaron Rodgers is going to be this baller post Achilles injury. Like, not to say that he's going to be bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is going to be a very competent quarterback. I think he's going to be as good as he probably was in his last season with Green Bay, maybe a notch below that, maybe a notch above that. But this is the same guy who, going to the playoffs, would struggle. In that NFC Championship games against the Niners, would struggle. Whatever. Like, this is the dude where, like, there was some doubt there. Miami played a game against Green Bay when Rodgers was the quarterback, and this was the game where Tua got his 3rd concussion. Prior to Tua's concussion, Miami was winning that game. Like, it was very even, if not, Miami was the better team. That concussion happened, and Tua threw 3 interceptions, and we didn't know he was concussed until the next day.
Yeah.
Not to say
that was the whole situation.
That was the whole situation.
That was the whole situation.
So I have a hard time buying into the idea that Rodgers is going to immediately, because when I think of the word success, I think not just statistically, but I think winning games, taking and having a winning season, over 500, getting to the playoffs, etc. Like that to me is overall success, right? So I don't necessarily know if that's a possibility. I could be proven wrong. And week 5 say Aaron Rodgers is back. It's the real deal. The Jets are they're going to win the AFC East. All of that can, but until I see him play a full game with the Jets and see what he looks like post Achilles, and this is a team that, by the way, just came off of having quote unquote the worst practice that they've ever had. Aaron Rodgers going on record saying like that was one of the worst practices I've ever been associated with, right? So who knows?
It's kind of a drama queen, huh?
But really the whole team. So believe it or not, for me, it's Russ, and I'll tell you why.
Whoa, I thought you were going to say Cousins.
Oh,
surprising me.
I don't think Cousins finishes the season. I think Michael Penix. I don't think you draft a quarterback 8th overall.
Yeah.
To sit him the entire season. I don't think that's the case. I think Wilson, huge chip on his shoulder, and I think Mike Tomlin is the right coach to make him ball the F out.
So you see Danger Russ making a comeback. Russ Danger or whatever.
Why not? Tools are there. You know, he was Russell Wilson, before he left Seattle, was always a good quarterback. He wasn't terrific per se, but he wasn't terrible. He wasn't the quarterback that showed up in Denver. It was very obvious that the relationship between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton just didn't work.
Yeah, from the beginning, like Sean Payton came in, was like talking and telling him
oil and water, right? Like just not meant for one another. And look at the success that Bo Nix is having. So Sean Payton's a competent coach. Look what he did with Drew Brees. So like, it's not that necessarily, and you could argue that Drew Brees made Sean Payton just like Tom Brady made Bill Belichick. You can make that argument, but that's not to say that, you know, Russell Wilson didn't help Pete Carroll and Pete Carroll didn't help Russell Wilson. Like that thing, like this is important. This is the thing that people don't realize, right? Like a player like
symbiotic.
A player like Tom Brady is 1 in a million who can go from the New England Patriots and then go to a Bruce Arians Tampa Bay Buccaneers and win his first season. That is rare.
While not getting along with the coach.
Rare.
Because he didn't like Arians.
Doesn't exist, right? Expect quarterbacks to just hop from one team to the next and take that success with them. Look at how Favre was with the Jets. Didn't work out, but when he went to Minnesota, Favre was balling again. Look at Montana when he went to the Chiefs. Baller, but to the level that he was as a Niner? No. I mean, there are case after case after case of quarterbacks moving teams that either have more success with their new team. Look at Drew Brees and the Saints versus Drew Brees with the Chargers, right? Had more success as a Saint versus the players that do move. A Dante Culpepper who was with the Vikings and then moves over to Miami and craps the bed, right? So to me, Russell Wilson in Denver was not a good match. And to him in Pittsburgh with Tomlin makes perfect sense. And if it doesn't work out, obviously you have Justin Fields there as well. But to me, of those 3 names, the one I'm excited about the most is Russell Wilson. Because like that is a redemption story. Imagine if Russell Wilson takes the Steelers to the playoffs and wins a game. It doesn't have to win the Super Bowl. Wins a game.
Yeah.
Talk of the NFL is going to be like just like Geno Smith. When Geno Smith was like written out of the NFL and he was like, oh, he's just a backup, and he comes to Seattle, falls out and gets earns a new contract.
He didn't write them back,
right? He didn't write them. So that to me is where I'm at, right? I think that's the story I'm excited about the most.
Yeah.
Listen, if Rodgers comes out and balls, I will eat my words and like for sure. The homeboy, I have no qualms with Aaron Rodgers, right? But I just don't see it yet. And so for me, Russell Wilson is a more intriguing story.